Dear students, welcome to this first lecture of the course Introduction to Psychology. The course will in fact introduce you to the fundamental principles of psychology and to some subjects of psychological inquiry. In fact, this course has been designed to provide you with the necessary tools for the study of psychology, but in fact it helps you to understand some behaviors, perceptions in our daily life. So the course is entitled Introduction to Psychology. We are going to step in the world of psychology and to see what it implies and what it refers to. What are the objectives of this lecture? First of all, we may say that this lecture has also the name of Introduction to Psychology. And if I may ask you, why do we need to study psychology itself? What is the aim behind studying psychology? Why do we speak about introduction to psychology? And here I may ask you, what are the benefits, or what are the benefits, students, to study psychology as future teachers? What is the benefit, or what are the benefits of psychology in our daily life? And here I may tell you that through studying psychology, we want to raise your awareness to understand, for example, yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you can improve your own understanding, and then your understanding of the others. Who are the others? They may be your relatives, your friends, your parents, your children in the future, your learners in the classrooms, many people you may meet in your daily life. And then you can improve your social skills. You will know how to behave with these people, how to manage your own behaviors. So you can develop critical thinking skills. This helps you in your future career as future teachers. You can know how to manage your classes, your learners, in case there are some troubles or not. So you are able to manage them. You learn about human development. How do we develop as human beings? Through age, through many steps. In the subsequent lectures, we are going to have specific lectures dealing with human, individual development, social, cognitive, and so on. You can even, or we can say that this lecture is helpful to implement other areas of study, and it helps you develop insight into mental illnesses or disorders. You may meet in your classrooms some learning disorders, so you'll be able to manage them. So when you are meeting this course, the main objective is to help you be aware of the existing psychological notions that are really helpful, first of all in your daily life and then in your professional career. Well, the first question is, what is psychology? Now, the word psychology is derived from two Greek words, psyche and logos. Psyche means soul, and logos means science. So, psychology was first defined as the science of the soul. According to earlier psychologists, the function of psychology was to study the nature, origin, and destiny of the human soul. But in fact, the soul is something metaphysical. It means it cannot be seen or observed or even touched. It means by the end we cannot really make scientific experiments on the soul. Why? Because as we said, we cannot see it. So how can we lead a scientific research on something which is not observable itself? It means it has been criticized by others and by new psychologists who considered that what is not observed cannot be reliable, or we cannot lean on something which is not reliable to lead any kind of research. So this kind of definition was to some extent rejected. So in the 18th century, psychology was understood as the science of the mind. So you see, from the soul to the mind. William James, in 1892, defined psychology as the science of mental processes. So now we consider the mental. But the word mind, again, is also quite ambiguous, as there was confusion regarding the nature and function of the mind. It means the mind is, again, something unobservable. It means what considers the mind is, again, not observable in reality at that time. So how can we consider the mind? How can we study the mind? So again, the definition was to some extent, again, criticized. Modern psychologists then defined psychology as the science of consciousness. James Sally, for example, in 1884, defined psychology as the science of the inner world. And the term inner means inside. So here again, it concerns the inside, what happens inside the person. And the inner world contains our reactions, sensations, feelings, memories of the individual to things in the outer world. So it means here the outer world refers to, or is the counter term to, the inner world of the individual. Then William Wundt in 1892 defined psychology as the science which studies the internal experiences. So here both definitions converge to the same point of view, that psychology is concerned with all what is inside the person. But again, critics, there are three levels of consciousness: the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. And again, this definition has been criticized and was not accepted by some scholars. Thus, psychology first lost its soul, then its mind, and then its consciousness. At present, only its behavior exists. Some scholars, such as William McDougall, Pillsbury, Watson, define psychology as the science of behavior. Behavior generally means over activities which can be observed and measured scientifically. And remember, students, we said that psychology is the science of. It means in the beginning it was the soul, then the mind, but In fact, it is a science. And when we say it is a science, it means we need to lead a kind of scientific research to understand one's behavior. But one's behavior is always influenced by his experiences. So whenever we need to study a human being's behavior, we need to understand and study and examine and investigate his previous experiences so that we can understand that given behavior. Then, psychology should be defined as a science of behavior and experiences on human beings, as claimed by Skinner. And finally, according to Crow and Crow, psychology is the study of human behavior and human relationships. So here you see that behavior alone is not enough. It is linked to previous experiences. And the last definition speaks about human behavior and human relationships. So remember, in the beginning we said that the benefits of psychology is among the benefits. Remember, we said it is helpful to improve social skills. And here, across this lecture, we've seen the development or the maturing growth of the various definitions provided by different scholars trying to define psychology. So remember, it started by the soul, then the mind, then the inner world, then consciousness, to behavior and experiences, and finally to human behavior and human relationships. And it's true that whenever we are able to define appropriately psychology, we can understand better how it can be implemented in our daily life or in any area of, let's say, domain and field in our life. And the major areas of psychology, we may raise four major areas. Clinical psychology, it is counseling for mental and behavioral health. We can speak about cognitive psychology, which is the study of the mental processes. We can also speak about behavioral psychology, which is understanding behavior through, let's say, different types of condition and so on. And here, when we understand the notion of psychology, we are better equipped to deal with any given situation in life. So, dear students, imagine I show you this picture and I ask you, what can you see? Of course, you may tell me these are two people, a couple, for example. Sure, they know each other. And why would you say that they know each other? Because they are yelling at each other. The close, let's say, distance between them allows us to say that they might be husband and wife. Now, I may ask you further questions. Why do you think these people are behaving? Or why do they yell at each other? Why are they behaving the way they are? And of course, here we may expect a number of hypotheses, of answers. One of them, you may say, because they are having troubles with each other. Well, all the probable, let's say, answers are accepted. But remember, according to the previous definitions, we have to understand, first of all, why do they yell at each other? What has been previously happening to them? The woman is angry. Look in her behavior. She is doing a gesture with her hands. So here we can analyze the picture, trying to understand their behavior according to their relationship, according to their behavior, according to their previous experiences. And this is, let's say, the role of psychology itself. Hence, dear students, the study of psychology is an opportunity for you to get new ways to look at and interpret your world and the people who inhabit it. And it's true that most psychologists try to solve daily life issues. And because we are frequently exposed to the work of psychologists in our everyday lives, we all have an idea about what psychology is and what psychologists do. And then I am sure that your perceptions can be correct. Of course, psychologists work in many fields, in family, at school. They provide counseling and therapy for people in distress, in difficulties. They help sometimes to solve problems. They are there to decrease anxiety at some people who are suffering from anxiety, for example. So here, many people have direct knowledge about psychology because they have maybe visited psychologists themselves, for example, at school or as family therapists, in marriage sometimes. So here the world of psychology is really helpful to deal with some difficulties in our life, with children, with adults, with all kinds of people. So, as a conclusion, dear students, you will learn that psychology is a field that will provide you with new ways of thinking about your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. So when you understand yourselves, when you understand the way you think, the way you perceive things, the way you behave, you can understand yourself, and consequently, you can understand the others. You can understand their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions. Psychology is an academic and applied field involving the study of behavior and mental processes. Psychology also refers to the application of such knowledge to various spheres of human activity, including problems of individuals' daily lives and the treatment of mental illnesses or disorders. Most psychologists work in research laboratories, hospitals, and other field settings where they study the behavior of humans and animals. They also study diverse topics, as we already mentioned above. So, dear students, that was the first lecture, Introduction to Psychology. Hope you appreciated it, and best of luck.